Story 1. I've been working as a delivery driver for a large online retailer for over a year now. My job requires me to drive one of the branded trucks and deliver packages across different neighborhoods in a mid-sized city. I deliver to both homes and apartment buildings, and I've gotten the hang of it pretty well. Most of my routes take me through decent-sized neighborhoods with spacious streets and houses, with front yards and driveways. It's usually pretty simple, since I don't have to deal with extremely narrow or difficult to navigate roads. There was one neighborhood I delivered to frequently, one that I had gotten to know pretty well. It's a typical suburban area with houses lining both sides of the street. I'd often park along the side and walk to the front doors, leaving packages at the doorstep or in the garage. Most of the time, at least a few homes had Amazon deliveries waiting for me to drop off, with some houses receiving packages almost every day. But one day, something odd happened. I had just parked my truck in front of a familiar house and was walking up to the driveway to drop off a package. I'd been here several times before and recognized the house right away. As I was walking up, I noticed a man standing in the garage. The door was open and there was a car parked inside. He was watching me, but I decided not to approach him and simply leave the package at the front step. As I walked back to my truck, I glanced over at him again, and this time he was staring at me, just standing there. I didn't think much of it at the time. I continued my route, delivered all the packages, and headed back to the warehouse to park the truck for the day. When I got to my car in the parking lot, something strange caught my attention. Across the lot, I saw a car parked in a far corner, its lights off. I was a little surprised to notice it, but what was more unsettling was that the man I had seen earlier was sitting in the driver's seat, staring directly at me. It took a few moments for me to realize that he looked oddly familiar. It was the same man I had seen in the garage earlier that day. I sat in my car for a few minutes, trying to figure out if he was watching me or if it was just coincidence. After a couple of minutes, his car's lights flickered on and he drove off. The whole situation felt weird, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. I didn't deliver to that house for a few days after that. But then, about 3 days later, I found myself heading back there. This time, the garage door was closed, and there was no sign of the man. But when I walked up to the front door, I found a note taped to it. The note said, "Please leave the package inside." I wasn't sure if I should comply. I didn't usually deliver packages inside houses, but I thought it could be a security concern if I didn't do it. So I went ahead and opened the door. It wasn't locked. The entryway was empty, but then I noticed another note inside, this one directing me to leave the package somewhere else in the house. This was just too strange. I left the package inside and quickly left the house, uneasy about the whole situation. Over the next few days, I didn't return to that street. But then one day, I noticed police cars parked outside that same house. I never found out what happened, but I could tell that something was off about that whole situation. I later learned that my route had changed, and I no longer had to deliver to that area. I'm not sure what was going on with that guy, but I'm glad I didn't get too involved. Story 2. This incident happened to me just last month. I live in an apartment complex in a relatively quiet part of the city. It's not the most luxurious place, but it's decent and affordable. I've lived here for almost 2 years, and it's been a comfortable experience so far. The building has a small mailroom on the ground floor where residents pick up their packages. I order a lot of things online, and the convenience of next-day delivery is something I've grown used to. One day, my coffee maker broke down unexpectedly, so I ordered a new one on Amazon. I opted for next-day shipping since I couldn't live without my morning coffee. The next day, I checked the tracking and saw that the package had been delivered. When I went down to the mailroom after work, I couldn't find it. There were several other packages, but mine wasn't anywhere. I thought maybe someone had taken it by mistake, but I wasn't sure. I went back up to my apartment, frustrated, and was about to contact Amazon to figure out what happened. But just as I sat down, there was a knock on my door. I opened it, but no one was there. However, sitting on the ground right outside my door was my coffee maker. The box had been opened, but the coffee maker was intact. I was confused. Why would someone leave it here? I couldn't make sense of it, but at least I had my coffee maker. A few days went by, and I thought nothing more of it. But then, a week later, I ordered some skincare products online. When I checked the mailroom after work, my package wasn't there again. The situation felt too similar to the last time. I was starting to get annoyed. That night, just as before, there was a knock on my door. But this time, there was a note left instead of a package. It read, "To get your package, go to unit 412. That was a unit on my floor. Though I didn't know the person who lived there, I reported the strange note to the building management, and they checked the security footage. It turns out that the person who had been stealing my packages was a neighbor from unit 412. He had been taking packages from multiple residents and bringing them back to his apartment. The situation ended with him being evicted from the building. It was a relief, but the whole thing was unsettling. Story 3. This happened last summer. My family and I live in a small house. It's my wife, our 2 daughters, one is 19, and the other is 16, and me. We order a lot of things online, so it's not uncommon for us to get packages delivered almost every day. I was up a bit later than usual one night. The kids were already in bed, and my wife had gone to sleep. I was about to head upstairs when I decided to load the dishwasher so it would be ready for the morning. As I passed through the living room, I heard a car door close outside. It caught my attention, so I glanced out the window. I saw a man walking up the driveway, and he was wearing a blue Amazon vest. He was holding a package in his hands, but here's the thing, I hadn't ordered anything. It was almost midnight, and I wasn't aware that Amazon delivered this late. Still, I didn't think much of it at first, figuring maybe one of the girls had ordered something. I was about to head upstairs, but something made me look out the window again. This time, the man wasn't just leaving the package at the front door like I expected. He stayed there, looking around the yard for an unusual amount of time. After about 15 seconds, I got curious and moved closer to the window. I saw the man still holding the package, looking around. Then he moved away from the front door and walked around the side of the house. Now I was starting to feel suspicious. I walked to the back of the house to see where he had gone. Just as I got to the back window, I caught a glimpse of him walking past. I quickly turned on the back porch light, and that's when he saw me. He turned around and sprinted off the property, carrying the Amazon package with him. I heard him jump into a car and drive away, but the car was too far for me to get a good look at. At that moment, I realized the man wasn't a legitimate Amazon delivery driver. He had been pretending to be one, probably to steal the package. I was lucky I'd been awake. The next day, I told my family about it, and they confirmed that none of us had ordered anything for delivery. It still makes me uneasy to think about what might have happened if I hadn't been paying attention. Story 4. This story goes back to my college days, about 2 years ago. I lived in a rundown house with my roommate, Matt. We weren't super close, but we got along fine. We both worked part-time jobs while also juggling classes, so we didn't spend a lot of time together. One evening, I was at home alone, watching TV in the living room, which faced the front yard. It was about 9 p.m., and I was just getting comfortable when I noticed someone walking up to our front door. I didn't recognize the man, and he wasn't someone I had seen around the neighborhood. He walked straight to our door and tried to open it. The first door was a screen door, and the second was the regular solid door. Both were locked, thankfully. I immediately got up and walked to the door. The guy had just tried to open it again when I reached it. I opened the screen door and saw him standing there. He looked at me and said he was from Amazon and had a package for me. I hadn't ordered anything, so I asked him where it was. He claimed it was in his truck and that I needed to sign for it. I told him I hadn't placed any orders, and he seemed taken aback, but then asked if anyone else lived there. The whole situation felt off, so I told him to leave. He got frustrated and started demanding I open the door to accept a package. He said it was expensive and large, and that I needed to help him bring it inside. I refused and slammed the door in his face. I could hear him cursing loudly as he walked away. I called Matt afterward to make sure he hadn't ordered anything. He confirmed that he hadn't. I didn't see the man again, but I'm really glad I trusted my gut and didn't let him in. It was a sketchy situation, and I don't know what could have happened if I'd opened the door. Story 5. I worked at an Amazon warehouse for a while, doing packing and inventory work. It was a pretty typical job with regular coworkers. But one coworker, Jason, started to act strangely, and things took a creepy turn. One evening, I finished my shift and headed home. My apartment was about 15 minutes away, and the roads were fairly quiet since it was late. I didn't notice anything strange until I got to the parking lot. As I was walking to my car, I saw a car pull into a spot across the lot. I didn't think much of it, since it was a big complex with lots of parking spaces. I walked to my car, got inside, and was about to leave when I saw the same car parked on the other side of the lot. I got out of the car and locked it. Then I heard footsteps behind me as I walked to the entrance of the building. I didn't think anything of it, assuming it was just someone else coming in. After entering the building, I went upstairs and unlocked my apartment door. As soon as I locked it behind me, someone tried opening it. I was startled and looked through the peephole. To my surprise, it was Jason from work. I was confused. What was he doing here? He stood there for a moment before walking away. I called out his name as I stepped outside to ask what he was doing. But as soon as he saw me, he sprinted down the hall and disappeared. It was strange, and I never saw him again at work. When I asked around, no one had seen him after that night. Looking back, I realized he must have followed me home without me noticing. I'm glad I locked the door when I did.